It's happening. Tariff checks are dropping, real checks, real money with President Trump's name on them. And while millions of Americans are about to cash in on one of the boldest economic reversals in modern history, Democrats are begging for donors, begging for relevance, begging for pretty much anything to stop the bleeding. They told you tariffs were evil. They said that President Trump's policies would hurt the working class. Well, guess what? The working class is getting paid. And the only thing hurting right now is the Democratic National Committee's bank account. And the kicker here, guys, Trump's doing it all while paying down debt, ending wars, and exposing the deep state from the inside out. He's not just winning, he's rewriting the rules. But here's the question that nobody wants to ask. Should that money really go to you? Or should it go toward paying off the $36 trillion in debt that we owe as a nation? That's the real war now. Cash versus consequences. And stick around, because in just a moment, we're going to show you guys the exact moment that President Trump confirmed the checks are happening, why Democrats are flatlining in both cash and credibility, and what Dan Bonino just revealed that could lead to the first indictments that we've seen in years. And this is not just a news update, guys. This is the end of the old order and the rise of a new American contract. So let's get into it. If you appreciate the updates, hit the like button, subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with the shockwave that's rocking the system today. President Donald J. Trump just confirmed it. Tariff rebate checks are no longer just a concept. They're becoming a reality. Now, just to be clear, these are not some pandemic era stimulus checks. This isn't funny money that was printed by the Fed or handed out in a panic. This is actual revenue earned and collected through President Trump's strategic tariffs and foreign nations. Now, let me go ahead and say that again, okay? This money did not come from your taxes. It came from foreign imports being taxed as they cross our borders. And so President Trump said so himself very plainly. He said, we have so much money coming in. A little rebate for people of a certain income level might be very nice. Now, what do you think about this, guys? I don't know about you, but the idea of checks going out to hardworking Americans paid for by China, not by our wallets, that sounds like poetic justice, right? And so we're only getting started here, because if those checks actually start arriving with Trump's name on them and a memo that says paid for by tariffs, then the political game, it's going to change forever. I mean, let's talk numbers just for a second. This is literally going to blow your mind. So in just the month of June 2025, the U.S. government collected $27 billion in customs duties. Not over the year, that was just June. So since the beginning of the fiscal year, we've now collected over $100 billion in tariff revenue. And if the trend holds, we're looking at over $600 billion projected this year alone. Let that sink in, okay? This is the Trump tariff strategy in action. Not just pushing some abusive trade partners, but actually filling our coffers with some real capital. And that cash that we're talking about, it's now being considered for rebates of the American people, not to government contractors, not to Ukraine. Oh, and definitely not to corporate bailouts, but to you, me. I mean, can I get an amen for that, right? This isn't inflation money, guys. This is not funny math from the Federal Reserve. This is foreign cash. And this is actually very good. Brought in through leverage, negotiation, America First economics. So when Democrats and legacy media scream about how tariffs hurt consumers, I want you to ask yourself this. If tariffs are so bad, why are they paying for the only real checks that Americans have seen in years? But it gets even better than that. Or depending upon where you stand, it gets a little bit more complicated, because there's this massive debate that's now exploding right inside the White House. And you're going to want to hear this, because this is actually the biggest moral and financial fork in the road that we face in decades. So do we send that money back to Americans, or do we use that money to crush the $36 trillion debt that's dragging us all down? So we need to talk about that, okay? And you're not going to want to miss what President Trump said next and how this split could ultimately split the country in two. So now here's where it gets real. We're sitting on over $36 trillion in national debt. This is not just a number. This is a ticking time bomb. The interest alone on that debt is draining our budget like a leech, and it's only getting worse. So when President Trump was asked what to do with the hundreds of billions of dollars pouring in from the tariffs, he didn't flinch. He said, the big thing we want to do is pay down the debt, but we're thinking about a rebate. And that is the crossroads, folks. Do we need to use this windfall to send you a rebate check in the mail? like a, rebate stimulus check of some sort, or do we pour that $600 billion into the black hole of the national debt? I want to hear from you guys. This is the battle that's happening right now in Washington, D.C. Now, Team A says, hey, give Americans the money. They earned it. They struggled. It's time to put power back into the hands of the people. Now, Team B, they're saying, hey, put the brakes on. Don't spend a dime. Use it to stabilize the country and stop the bleeding. But let me go ahead and ask you directly, since you're watching the show right now, would you rather have $1,200 in your pocket, or would you rather see the national debt start to shrink? Let me know. Think about it, though, because either way, you're making a trade. Immediate relief versus long-term discipline. So drop in the comments right now. Checks if you want the rebate, debt if you think it's time to tighten the belt. And as that battle is raging, and look at the comments down below, see what people are saying. Do you agree with what you're seeing, the general consensus down there? But as the battle is raging, guess who's up against the ropes? We got to talk about the Democratic Party's complete financial collapse. So while President Trump is debating whether to send you money or save the country, the Democrats, well, let's just say that they're debating whether they can even afford a microphone. No joke, guys. New Wall Street Journal polling just dropped, and it is devastating for the left. 63% of registered voters now view the Democratic Party unfavorably. Now, this is the worst rating in over 35 years since 1990. Democrats, or rather Republicans, are now leading across the board on issues that matter the most. Inflation, the GOP leads by 10%. The GOP leads by 10 points. Immigration and the border, 17-point lead. Illegal alien enforcement, this is another 17-point lead. And guys, that's just the polling. Let's talk money. So the RNC has $83 million in cash on hand. The DNC, barely over $10 million, and it's shrinking. I mean, they can't even keep their fundraisers filled. It's crazy. Major donors are pulling out. Events are flopping. The money pipeline is dry. I mean, it's just ashy. And don't even take my word for it, guys. Longtime Democrat lobbyist Dan Tarantine, he went on record and he said, we have no agenda. If we won power, I couldn't even tell you what we would do with it. Wow. That is crazy for him to say that. But let that sink in, guys. There's no money. There's no plan. There's no future. Meanwhile, President Trump sending out checks, ending wars and breaking records, and the Democrats can't even fund a t-shirt. So ask yourself this. Who's really fighting for working class Americans right now? But believe me, guys, we're only scratching the surface, because what I'm about to share with you guys, we're going to talk about why the media and the global elite are terrified of these tariff checks and how they might flip the entire narrative on Trump's trade policy. Plus, of course, what Dan Bonino just revealed from inside the FBI, it could be the beginning of the biggest political takedown in a generation. Now, I partnered with Chapter because they treat every person like family, and the results, they speak for themselves. Carolyn told us that Chapter literally saved her from $4,000 in unexpected medical bills. Shout out to Chapter on that one, right? And Leslie Taylor, she's saving $1,000 a year thanks to Chapter. Now, that's not some special favor. They just looked at Leslie's coverage, they explained her options, and found her something better. That was it. There's no gimmicks, there's no games, no pressure, no scams, just real humans offering help to other real humans. It's that simple. I know. It almost doesn't even sound real nowadays when you got AI and all this, virtual fake stuff out there. These people are the real deal. So, I mean, you yourself, as you're listening to me speak right now to you, you could be sitting on a better plan right now and not even know it. And that's the thing. You could literally just call them up right now and say, hey, Ron told me to call you to see if you can save me any kind of money. I'm just curious. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to make any commitments. I just want to know, yes or no, can I save money? Like literally, that's what I would do if I were you. Anyway, give our friends a call, our friends at Chapter a call. Phone number is 909-563-8279. You should see the phone number down below, or visit them on the web at askchapter.org/Ron. I left you guys a link in the pinned comment down below. If you are on Medicare or about to be, do not wait until it's too late, okay? Let Chapter guide you just like they've helped so many others. So now, here's the twist that nobody in the legacy media wants to admit. Even after all the data, even after hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into U.S. coffers, even after tariff-funded rebate checks have been announced, voters still disapprove of Trump's tariffs by 17%. 17 points. Like, it's hard to believe. I mean, but this is the cost of media brainwashing. I mean, for years, they told you, and you let me know if you've heard this before, right? For years, they were telling us that tariffs were going to destroy the economy, that they would hurt working Americans, that Trump was playing with fire. I mean, I heard it. Have you guys heard that stuff? Well, guess what? The checks are coming, the country is booming, and the Democrats are broke. So here's $1 million question, guys. Like, what happens when those same Americans who said that they hate tariffs walk up to their mailbox, open up the box, and they find a check with President Trump's signature and a line that says, paid for by tariffs? Let me explain to you what happens. Everything changes. The narrative that they were claiming, that collapses. The spin shatters, the media panic begins. Because now that the narrative shifts, Trump's not just talking about economic fairness, he's delivering it. And the left has nothing. They have no plan, no rebuttal, no counteroffer, just resentment and fear. And hating from the back of the crowd. And speaking of fear, let's talk about what's got the deep state sweating bullets this weekend. Now, heads up, guys, if you want the real updates before they hit your feed, grab my free breaking news newsletter right down below. Link is waiting in the pinned comment. All right, so you probably remember Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent, truth teller, and now deputy director of the FBI under President Trump. Well, Dan Bongino just stepped out of the shadows with a huge message that shook the entire political establishment. So he posted, "What I uncovered has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this." That's not campaigning fluff. That's not clickbait. That's a code red alert from the second highest ranking official in the FBI. And so here's where it gets even more explosive. Dan Bongino, he linked to a story by John Solomon that hints at exactly what he's talking about. Former CIA director John Brennan is now likely first target for indictment, followed by possibly James Clapper. Now, we're talking about the architects of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, the men who pushed a dirty dossier into national intelligence briefings, who lied to FISA courts and also tried to derail a presidency from day one. And now they may finally be facing justice. But Dan Bongino's message wasn't just about the past. He also said, "I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned." Now, that means that the corruption didn't stop under Biden. It didn't disappear with Mueller or Comey or Adam Schiff. It went even deeper. And now that President Trump is back in power, they're terrified because for the first time in years, there's no political shield anymore. And here's the real kicker. This entire time, the left has been screaming about democracy. But they never expected the real democratic process, the checks and balances, justice and accountability to actually come back and hit them in the face. So here's your teaser for what's coming next. Because while checks are landing in American homes and corrupt insiders are preparing legal defense strategies, President Trump just pulled off one of the greatest diplomatic plays of his career, and almost no one's talking about it. And this is what I get a lot from you guys, and I really appreciate you letting me know what you're seeing out there. A lot of folks are saying, "Ron, thank you so much for sharing the truth," because if you listen to mainstream media alone, you would think like Trump is screwing up left and right. But apparently they're just not willing to share what's really going on. And also, you're going to hear how President Trump single-handedly halted a war between Cambodia and Thailand without firing a single shot. So while the media obsesses over poll numbers and celebrity distractions, President Donald J. Trump just stepped in and did what the global elites could not do. He stopped a war without firing a single bullet. Just 4 days ago, Cambodia and Thailand were locked in full-scale kinetic warfare. I mean, we're talking about surface-to-air missiles launched across borders, 32 dead, and tens of thousands of civilians displaced. The UN held an emergency meeting and accomplished absolutely nothing. Just another taxpayer-funded coffee break in New York. But President Trump, he cut off all the trade talks, suspended U.S. market access for both nations, and then got on the phone with their leaders personally. And within just hours, both nations agreed to meet immediately for ceasefire negotiations. Both agreed to reestablish peace talks, and Trump posted real-time updates on Truth Social for the whole world to see. His exact words: "It was an honor to deal with both countries. They have a long and storied history, and I look forward to concluding our trading agreements with both once peace is achieved." Guys, this is what leadership looks like: decisive, strategic, transparent, and compassionate to the countries, to the people of those countries, and to the leaders. Not hiding behind bureaucracies, not pushing wars by proxy, just getting it done. And so while the left is still blaming misinformation for their collapse, Trump is literally saving lives. He's restoring peace, and he's putting America back at the center of global democracy and diplomacy. And so now I want to just go ahead and wrap it up with you guys. I want to recap what we just talked about, because this moment here isn't just historic, it's rather transformational. Tariff stimulus checks are becoming real. Not printed debt, not inflation play money, real revenue collected by Trump, delivered to Americans. The Democratic Party is collapsing. They've lost the polling war. They've lost the funding war. And now they're losing the messaging war, because President Trump, he's putting cash in the hands of voters while they're begging donors to keep the lights on. The global narrative is flipping. Tariffs were supposed to be Trump's big mistake, remember? Well, now they're the golden goose, bringing in over $600 billion and reshaping the U.S. economy. Corruption is being exposed. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bonino has made it crystal clear the swamp is deeper than we imagined, and arrests are likely coming. And yes, President Trump just stopped a war while building leverage to lock in stronger trade deals. So now I ask you this: where do you stand? Do you want to see those tariff rebate checks hit your mailbox? Or do you believe that it's time to funnel every one of those dollars into crushing the $36 trillion in national debt? I'll tell you right now, there's no wrong answer, but you do have to choose. So drop your response in the comments down below. Type checks if you support the rebate. Type debt if you want full focus on deficit reduction. Either way, guys, you're witnessing something historic here today. This is not just a headline. This is Trump's America again. Jobs are returning, power is shifting, and people are finally being heard. So do me a favor, before you go, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with someone who still doesn't believe the checks are real. And if you like this video, YouTube thinks that you're going to absolutely love the one that just popped up on your screen right now. Click that video. You're not going to regret it. It connects directly to the next wave in this movement. Stay sharp, stay free. I'll see you guys on the other side.